similar to what we talked about last week about 30 ways to start saving and know you're not doing them all. And then we'll begin our lesson on page 4 in our packet on budgeting, 5-year planning, uh, emergency savings fund, and briefly talk on 401ks and retirements. Okay, so last week we talked deeply and in depth on ways to save money because a lot of times we think in saving money that's hard, but there's so many ways that we can save money that we don't think of that we can do on a day-to-day basis. And one of the things that I meant to talk about last week, but I didn't talk about is you can also get a rewards card with your bank. You can ask about it. Mine's currently with Bank of America, and it's a rewards card, and I get points that are cash valued whenever I want to cash them in for every purchase that I make. I get 3% back on gas, 2% back on groceries, and 1% back on all purchases that I use my card for. So I just want to encourage and let everyone know that if you do not already have one, you can check with your local bank and see if they have a rewards card, a cash rewards card, which allows for you to earn points, that is cash points, that will allow for you to get money. You can redeem them at any time. And my bank gives me additional 10% if I redeem them and deposit them into my savings or checkings account and then take the money out. So they reward me even more instead of just getting them, going to an ATM or going to the bank teller and telling her, hey, I want to get my points back. If I can tell them, hey, I want you to deposit them into my savings or checking account, they give me additional 10% on the total amount that I have received. So the last one I did, I think I received like $464. And that was just for paying my bills. I used it to pay my phone bill. I've used it to pay my electric bill. I've used it to pay my MediaCom cable bill. I've used it to pay my water bill. I used it for my groceries. Every time I get gas, I use it. So this is something that you're not going to change. You're going to keep doing your normal spending habits, okay? So wherefore you may used to pay cash with everything. You may used to use a checkbook to pay your bills. You may have went and used a money order to pay your bills, whatever means that you used to use your money. All you do is you just transfer from using that way method. Just use your card for everything, and you start gaining points. And what I like to do is I first was a little frustrated because I used to could call, and I could hear how much my balance was, and they'd also tell me how many points I've had. But I was frustrated that they don't give me that option anymore. But now looking at it, I think it's kind of good that they don't give you that option because in the back of your mind you can think, well, I got 200 points on my card, I got 300. Right now I don't know how many points I've earned so far. So it kind of helps me. So I'm just going to kind of let it disappear in my mind, and then maybe over 2 or 3 years I can call and check on those points because they do not expire. Okay, so that's one thing that I want to talk about on the rewards, that you can get points that are redeemable for cash if you use your card. So just if you have a local bank, check with them, ask them if that is available to you. Okay. Question?
Isn't that a credit card?
Yes, it is a credit card. Mine's by Visa. Now, important fact: credit card, you want to make sure you have no balance from month to month, so you don't inquire any interest. Okay. So that's why I encourage you should already be paying your bills now. Okay. So I'm not saying use your credit card, pay your bills, and don't pay it. Well, you still need to pay your bill on time because you get your statement and you got to pay it a month. So you get your statement and say like $600. So you need to make sure you have that balance paid off by the due date, so you don't inquire interest or late fees. I'm not saying to go into debt over it. All I'm saying is it's a good way to save money and yet still pay your bills and get paid. Because I look at it, I'm getting paid to pay my bills. Okay, that's how I look at it. So be aware though, it does have an interest rate on there if you don't pay that balance off by the end of the month. So if you're not good with a credit card, if you're not good at balancing your checkbook, if you're not going to be good with making your payments on time, do not do it. But if you can handle using your bank book, and you think you can transfer ownership and be good stewards and take good responsibility of it, that's another way that you can make and add additional $300 to $400 a year to your savings. And that's something that you're not doing now if you don't have ownership of the card. And that's an easy way to do it. So you're not even doing anything different. You're still paying your bills. You are still I mean, it's more convenient because sometimes I can just call a lot of times, or I have some of them already linked to my card, and it comes out automatically on a certain date. So I mean, it even makes paying bills easier because you're not going to this place and this place and this place and this place, or you're not putting a stamp on this and sending it to this and hoping it gets there before its due date. So it actually can help you too get your bills paid easier on time. And like I said, just got to be aware of the interest rates and the late fees that occur with it if you are not good stewards over it at the time. So at this time, I just want to ask for 3 volunteers. Don't come up at once. If you can come up and just share with the class one thing that you learned on how to save money from last week's lesson, and then we're going to go into budgeting.
One way you can save is to cook at home more often. And also, you can bring the leftovers you have from your dinner. You can bring it for lunch as a brown bag lunch. And if it's something new, you can start cooking once a week and then gradually increase. And then for the lunches, when you bring lunch from your dinner, you can reward yourself on Friday because you did so well for the whole week.
Okay. So we talked last week about the importance of trying to bring your lunch. Okay, so not eating out. You go to work, and you work hard. If you can bring your lunch, you may could save an additional $5 to $10 a week just by not eating out. If that is, because like I said, this may not be for everybody. Some people may already be doing the brown bag, but some people that may be hearing this week 4 session, you may not be doing a brown bag. You may find yourself eating out a lot because you don't have time or you didn't prepare the day before for your meal, because we're not going to go the day without eating. We are going to eat something. So even if it's just preparing a lunch meat sandwich, peanut butter jelly sandwich, a bag of chips, some fruit. If you can do that, it's going to be healthier, because we talked about healthy stewardship in the first session. It's going to be healthier for you, and you're also going to save money because you're not spending that $5 to $6. Even if you go to get something from McDonald's off the dollar menu, you're still going to spend $2 to $3. So it's going to be cheaper in the long run over a course of a year, because remember, we're talking about over a long period of time, over a year. This is ways that you may put some extra money in your savings account. So brown bag definitely helps. Cooking at home definitely helps. Leftovers definitely help to save money. Okay? Can I get one more volunteer to explain what they learned about ways of saving from last week's lesson?
Another way you can save money is to, before you go to the grocery store, to make a shopping list so that when you get to the grocery store, you're not just picking up a bunch of things and like doing a bunch of impulse buying. So if you have a list that you can look at and make sure that you're getting all the things on that list, when you check everything off, you go ahead and, buy your items and leave the store so you save money.
All right, so we learned last week the importance of having a list before you go to the store. Don't go to the store blind, not knowing what you're going to get, and you need to stick to that list. My friend, Brother Davis, reminded me too, whenever you are tallying up your items, round up to the dollar amount to kind of help you introduce those taxes that's going to be at the register. So if we have a budget amount, as we're going to get ready to talk about in week 4, if you have a budget that you look forward to staying at, so if your budget for groceries is $200, so when you make your list, okay, you have an idea of what some of the items are, but round up. Don't round down, round up, and that will help kind of introduce those taxes so you'll be more close to your budget when you get to the register. Because sometimes you can go to the register and you tallied up all your items, but if you don't introduce the tax on them, it's going to be a little higher. So this kind of helps us, to stay within the budget, okay, and see what it is that we can get as we making that grocery list. Because that's one thing I do. I like to have a grocery list. I like to have an amount that I want to spend at the grocery store, and I also like to know how much before I even go into the grocery store on an idea of what my items are going to cost. This will help us stay in budget, because you can have a list and you can have them all and you can stick with the list, but you can still be out of your budget range. So it's very important, and that, yes, it calls for self-discipline. Yes, you may have to put some things back to stay within your budget. Okay, but like I said before, we believe that the Lord can show us some deals, and He may be able to help us to save into other areas where we can come on budget every time. So we may be able to see a better deal. And as we talked with my another friend, Brother John, he was letting us know that we don't want to suffer the quality for the price. So sometimes, you may have to spend a little extra money to get a better quality, but it's going to last longer and it's going to be healthier for you. Okay, so keep that in mind. And your 30 ways of saving, making you a grocery list. Okay, try to stay within your budget amount and rounding up to the nearest dollar or cent, 50 cents. That way you can stay within your budget amount when you go to the grocery store. So those three principles, when making that assessment there, you're going to have your budget that you should have written down. They say this is how much, because whenever we go in a budget, you should have an amount that you're spending on groceries, and that's where you want to try to be at every month. And then you're also going to have that list when you go to the grocery store and tally up those items to make sure that you're within the budget that you have on your budget sheet. Okay, and if I can get the last volunteer to come up and share with us on what they learned about ways of saving.
Another way to save is to make sure that you pay your bills on time so that you can avoid late fees. Also, you can be aware of overdraft fees. So like when you're budgeting your checkbook, you want to be careful to make sure that you pay attention so that you don't get an overdraft, because sometimes each time you go over, the amount can go up. So you would not be saving if you're overdrafting and have to pay those extra fees.
Okay, so make sure it's very important that we pay the bills on time. We always want to pay them on time anyway. We don't want to be the person that buys something they don't need and they sacrifice what they do need, which would be a bill, to have something that they just wanted, and now they're either getting a late fee or they're making a bad record on their deal because they're always late, running late on their bills, and that hurts the credit report too. If you have car notes and you're running late on your car note, if you have a mortgage, you're running late on your mortgage from month to month, it doesn't look good. And they look at that when you go to refinance your home, or if you're going to get another loan, they look at those things to see if you're going to get approval for another home, or if you're going to get approval for another car. They're going to say, well, we would like to give you the money, sir or ma'am, but you had several late fees the last couple of years. You've been very late on your mortgage. They look at those things. So it's very important that we be on time, paying our bills. We don't want to make the banks richer than that they already are. We're giving them extra overdraft fees and all these different late fees that they occur. We want to just be good stewards, okay? And the Lord's blessed us with the income to pay our bills. Let's go ahead and pay them and believe in God. He'll bless us with our wants. And I believe I have a question in the back.
I just wanted to add that when you have a loan, make sure you pay your loan like a simple interest loan, like an auto loan. Pay it at the same time every month, because if you pay it early one month and then pay it later in the month the next month, the extra interest charges you pay don't make up for the early time you paid.
You hear that? And there's another. If you have a line of credit, the interest is paid on the balance always due. So you can make two payments within the same month, and they'll charge you double interest, because they count that first one as the payment for the month, and then the second payment that you make again, they're going to charge you interest again because it's another payment. So interest is always paid on the balance that is due from month to month. So if you're not paying that off, they're going to double interest you, okay, on line of credit.
One thing that I've learned overall and by experience is that some people use the envelope system, but you can also use different checking accounts at different banks to help pay your bills. You use one bank just for your bills and put in enough to cover your bills, and another bank for your savings or for your checking account. That way you always have enough in there to pay your bills, and if you feel comfortable doing an automatic withdrawal, you can do that and just check over your statement every month. And for your spending, there's such a thing as a My Spending card, and you don't get a monthly charge on that, just what you put on there if you want to go shopping with that. But you have to make sure your bills are paid for in that other account before you go trying to spend.
Okay, so we are here at Step of Faith. We're concerned about the whole body, concerned about prospering spiritually and physically, financially, the whole man, and we want to make sure that we are implementing or introducing to you guys several ways, okay, to save money, okay, and we can do it. We can do it, amen. So, and if you do not know, and I did not list all 30 ways, but if you can visit dumblittleman.com, okay, you can find all 30 ways there, and there may be some ways there that you can implement into your own financial spending habits or financial spending urges that you have to help you get your finances under control, okay? Now we're going to go to budgeting. Budget, and here is how. It's very important that we have a budget. It doesn't matter if you have a fixed income. It doesn't matter if you are rich. It doesn't matter if you're paycheck to paycheck. Whatever your financial situation is, you have to have a budget. You have to have a budget. We must know where our money is going. And this is something that you have to track, as I've said before, over a 30-day period or a full month. And if you have a husband and wife, and then this is you need two of them, okay? And if you're single, you just need one. But if you are a husband and wife, you need one. If you have kids, you might need one. You might have your kids track down some things that they get from you that they ask, and that might be a little $5 or $10 over the month. So if you have a family, if you have more than one kid, if you have several kids, you might need 6 or 7 budget sheets. But the only way to have an accurate budget sheet is to be able to calculate where all of the income that is coming to your house is going. Okay, so that's the very important thing. So first, as step 1 says, list all available income. So that's the very first step that we're going to want to do. So if you have alimony, if you have different means, if you do side jobs, if you collect cans, if you get your regular check, if you got Social Security, whatever income is coming to your house, you need to document that, and that's going to give you a number. Okay, so this is not an area where we want to leave anything out. We want to make sure that we include every income that is coming to our house. Okay, even if you have a child and they are working, then that's income into your house, so that needs to be documented too. Okay, and this will help us to see how much money that we physically make in a month. Okay, and it may be easy for some, it may be harder for others, but you need to get that number. Okay, and then second, we will list all monthly expenditures in the home, starting with fixed expenses. Okay, so as your budget sheet grows, you're going to have one side that has basically all the income that is coming into your house. And the second side is going to let you list all of the expenses that are going out of your house. And this is, again, where we need to tally and get that number, and it needs to be to the T. It needs to be exact. Can't be off by even 50 cents. You need to know exactly how much money you got. That's why it's important that over a 30-month period, if you buy a candy bar at work, on the 15th, you need to document it. That on the 15th, I bought a candy bar. If you bought a soda pop on the 21st, you need to document it. If you bought a pack of Skittles, if you bought a Band-Aid, if you got a cheeseburger, whatever you spent, because this is all coming out of your money that's coming into your house. So you need to document every dollar, every cent. You need to find out where it's going, okay? And then once you get that number, and then you're going to have fixed expenses, things like my mortgage is the same every month. My phone bill is the same every month. My cable bill. So there's going to be some bills on there that's going to be easy. You'll be like, oh, I know what that is. I know what that is. So you can go through and fill them in first and then work on that 30 days where you're documenting, okay, well, I spent this today. I spent this day. I know it may be a hassle, but this is going to help you because you'll be able to see where your money is going, okay? And like I said, you only got to do it for 30 days. Now, I say this. You only have to do it for 30 days, but if something changes in your lifestyle, so say you tracked for 1 month, and then the next month you got a car note, okay, or the next month you bought a house, or the next month you had a baby coming to your house, okay, well, now you have to redo this again. So some of your things will be the same, but if you got a car note, now you got to add in a car note. If you didn't have a house payment, but now you do have a house payment, you have to add that house payment in. Okay, if you didn't have a child in 1 month, but now you do have a child this month, you got a newborn baby, you got to add in all these expenses that come with this baby. Okay, so I say you only have to track this once, but if something changes your income and your outcome ratio, then you have to redo your budget again, okay? Just for a simple instance, gas may go up, okay? So you might go from spending maybe $30 this month on gas, next month you may spend $40, okay? Food goes up, so you may have a budget, at one time your budget for your groceries might have been $200, but because just the economy and different things, your budget might go to $210 or $220. So when changes occur that you have no control over, okay, because we don't have control over the gas, we don't have control over groceries going up, we don't have control of interest rates on our mortgage going up, we don't have control. There's some things you just don't have control over. that just nothing you can do about it, then you have to redo your budget. So sometimes you can find yourself, well, it seems like I'm not saving as much as I used to, or it seems like, well, it could be that the things on your that you've been buying have went up, and now you haven't tracked the difference, and there goes your extra $20 or $30. So for some people, you may have to do this more often, but if you haven't done it at all, you need to start somewhere. So I would say just do this one time and track everything for the whole month, and then after a while, you can kind of see what is taking most of your money. Okay, and it's very important. And as I noted earlier, if you need a budget sheet, I will get one to you after class, and I can go over it if you have any questions. Okay. And my note here says, in order to accurately determine variable expenses, it is suggested that both husband and wife keep a expense diary for 30 days. All expenditures, even small purchases, should be listed. So once again, just to implement, if you are husband and wife, both of you guys are going to need a budget sheet, and you need to keep a diary or track of how much you spent every day. You may have some days you may not spend $1. Okay. And this is going to help us to see where our money is going. Now, once we do this, we're going to have one side that is going to be considered income, and the other side is going to be considered outcome. There's several different budget sheets that you can choose. There's not a particular one that I say, well, this one's better than that one. The main thing is you just need to know your income and your outcome, and there's going to be two numbers. And hopefully your income is greater than your outcome or your outgo, okay? Hopefully. But some people may track this and say, man, I got less coming in, but I got more going out. And if that is the case, then that's why you need a budget. Okay, your debt to income ratio is messed up. Okay, it's all messed up. If you go to the bank to look for a loan, that's one thing they look on to approve you is your debt to income ratio. Can you afford this car? Can you afford this mortgage? And these are some things that we need to be thinking about before we buy. Can I afford this? Can I even afford a new car? Can I even afford to buy a home at this time? Can I even afford to go to the movies? Can I afford this $20 deal or meal or whatever? Can I afford it? And this budget is going to help us determine this number. And you may be good after you do this, and you may say, well, man, I have an extra $100 left over every month. And then you look at your savings account, you don't have no money in there, or you only have $200, and then you should say, man, I should be saving more than this. Okay? So once you track, this is very, very vital to our financial stewardship success, is tracking where our money is going. And once we get that information, we can be conquerors, because now we know what we need to work on. You may find out that you're spending $20 a month on candy. You might find that out. You might find that you are spending $1,000 a month on eating out. That was me till I tracked it. Family of 3, and we was eating out, 3-4 times a week, spending $30, $40 at a time. And we started tracking. I said, babe, we were spending way too much money eating out. It was so convenient. It was so convenient at the time, but we found out we were spending way too much money, and that's where we was like, man, that's why we don't have enough at the end of the month. We spend too much money eating out. So what do? We implement. We not eating out, but once a week or once a month, maybe. And what I did was I took a little bit of that money that I was spending on eating out, and I put it in with my groceries, and I got more. So this budget is going to help you to conquer and find out what that demon is that's stealing your little bit of nickels and dimes and quarters throughout the month, and you're going to be able to conquer it and have some extra money left over at the end of the month. And then you may come out, you might find that you are running neck to neck and you just barely having enough from month to month. That might be your situation too. Okay, so this will help you to be able to figure out, okay, well, is there something I can do that can bring in some extra income into my house to help supplement some of these bills that are overbearing on me? Because we can't get some bills you just cannot get rid of. We talk about being debt free, but that's debt that we cannot. The debt that we don't have to have on us. We don't have to have us burdened down, but we're going to always have rent, or you're going to have a mortgage. I mean, you can't get rid of that. You're going to have to put gas in your car. You're going to have to eat. You're going to have to pay the bills that come with the house or a rent, don't matter. So there's some bills that we can't get rid of, but as we talked earlier, there's things that we can do to help lower those bills, serving on energy, trying to, use the best economic stewardship. We talk about environmental stewardship. There's things that we can kind of ease those bills, but the main thing is there's some that we just ain't going to be able to get rid of. But just because we can't get rid of them doesn't mean we can't work on some other ones that we may can get rid of, because there's going to be a balance there. So budget, budget, budget. Okay, very important. So the word for today is budget. Okay, work on your budget. Like I said, I'm always working on mine. I'm always trying to see, you may call your insurance company and say, hey, I've been a member with you guys for 10 years. I've never been in a wreck. I'm never late on my payments. Can you guys give me a little better deal than this, or I'm going to go somewhere else. Call the people up. Call your phone company up. Hey, do you guys have a better plan? Is there something better that can help me? Ain't nothing wrong with checking into your bills. Calling them, see if you got a better deal. Is there something out better today? Okay, nothing wrong with that. And then looking, you may find out and look and find better deals on, if getting a gas card helps you to save better, get a gas card. There's so many options, but don't just be closed-minded to this is what it's going to be and this is how it's always going to be. You need to be open, okay, to what is out there. They're always coming up with something different. They're always coming up with different ways to either save or help preserve. Going out and buying fluorescent light bulbs helps save, okay? And I even have went to Boone Electric, okay, and I've turned in my old light bulbs, and they gave me new fluorescent light bulbs, okay? I took my old light bulbs, took them to them, they gave me some new ones. Now, of course, that just gets me started, so the next one's going to be on me, but the initial cost wasn't on me, okay? So hopefully between that time of saving on your electricity that you have enough money saved up to buy you some when they do burn out. But they last for a long time, some 5 to 7 years, okay? So just optimizing the use of your bills. I gotta get through this. Okay, financial goals is our next. Is a desired result a person or a system envisions, plans, and commits to achieve. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit on 5-year planning. After we accomplish all these things, we got a good deal on where our money's going. We're optimizing the use of our money, and we're saving, and we're doing good. We're making some leeway. We're paying off that debt. Okay, we need to have goals that we want to set for ourselves, where we want to be at in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, where you want to be at financially with the Lord, where you want to be at financially with your do you want to be in a house in 5 years? Do you want to have your car paid off in 5 years? You need to put goals before you. And I have that scripture there, Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Okay? So it's very important that we have a vision. Without a vision, my people perish. Okay? So after I know it's probably a lot that I'm putting before you on today, but you need to have a plan to get to your goals on paper. It needs to be on paper. So if your plan is, to have a house in 5 years, you need to have on paper what is your plan to get there. If you go to the bank and they tell you you need to work on your credit, you need to get a down payment, you need to get some of this debt out of here, then you need to be working on these things to get to that house. Okay? Don't let that stop you. Go to the bank, make room. Say, okay, I'm writing down everything you say. This is what I'm working on. So this is part of your 5-year plan. If your plan is to be out of debt in 5 years, I don't want to owe nobody no money. Put it down on paper. Write down all your debts. Pray over it, and say, Lord, I'm moving forward, and I'm getting this knocked out, and work on it. But you need to have if you keep doing the same thing year in and year out, you're going to be in the same place year in and year out. But if you do something different, but it makes it a lot of times, make it plain. Write it down. Write the vision down. Put it on your wall. At my house, I got all my debts written on a piece of paper. I got one on my bathroom door. I got one on my bedroom door. I got one in my kitchen, and I had one on my refrigerator. I took it off because I got a new one. But I need to put it back up there. It's before me every day. So if you're, whatever vision, whatever goals that you have that you want to see accomplished in 5 years, write them down and put them before you and pray over them and hang them up and look at them every day. And what this is going to help you do is it gives you a place that you want to achieve. It gives you something to look forward to when you wake up in the morning and says, okay, I'm getting close. And if you want to, let your kids write them off, mark them off. You're going to feel good, though, whenever you start accomplishing these goals. You say, well, I only got 3 more left to do. Put the house on there. If you have a mortgage, put that on there. I want to get this booger paid off. Put that on there. Okay, ain't nothing wrong with that. And then you see what is it that I need to do. You may be able to put an extra $100 on there and have it paid off in in 10 years instead of 30. Just look at it. But ain't nothing wrong with putting a plan together, viewing it with your spouse or just by yourself, looking over it, and then say, okay, I'm going to do this. And ask God to help you, and he will. Okay? And then I want to talk about emergency savings account. This is another, so remember in our session we talked about we need to have 3 accounts. We need to have a general savings account, and I gave you guys several ways that you can save. Okay? And we need to have an emergency savings account. And this should be at $1,000 minimum. Okay? This $1,000 is going to help to cover unexpected expenses that occur that we know are going to occur. Hot water heater may break down. Refrigerator may go out. Your air conditioner may go out. Your washer and dryer may go out. Car may need to get repaired. So if you have this emergency savings of $1,000, because like I said, things don't happen every month, so it gives you time to work on saving this. And once you have this, when things do occur, it's not a distraction. It's not a tragic accident. Oh man, I'm gonna get this. You already have the money. You say okay, and then you just shop around, try to find the best deal for it. But when you don't have the money, and your car breaks down or your air goes out, your refrigerator goes out, if you don't have the money, what are we going to do? You still got to get it because it's a need. You're going to either borrow or you're going to go into debt. Okay? So while things are going good, let's work on that emergency savings account at $1,000 at least. Now, Dave Ramsey says that it should be at $1,000 at least, but you can grow it. It don't have to stay at $1,000. Okay? Because ain't nothing wrong with having, $2,000 or $3,000 in your general savings, having $2,000 or $3,000 in your emergency savings, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in your emergency savings, and then as we get ready to go into the 401k, you got money there. So you have 3 ways that you have sitting on the side of savings. Okay, so let's work on that emergency savings account. This is money that you may find that you can grow it in your budgeting process. So in your budgeting, you may see, okay, well, I need to have $1,000 savings account. If I can cut this out, I can get, maybe an extra $30 or $40 a month out of this. If I can cut this out, man, I can get an extra $10. And then those little extra $30 or $40 that you find that you can maybe capitalize on, you can start saving that towards your emergency savings account. So you need to this is going to be areas, or you may have to do, you may have to sell something. You may have to do some side jobs on the side to get that number. I don't know what you may have to do, but work towards getting that $1,000 saved up. And this is money that we do not touch unless it is considered an emergency. Okay? Only emergency. So that means because you worked hard all week long and you feel you should treat yourself to a movie and dinner, that's not an emergency. Okay? Because JCPenney's was having a sale and 50% off, that's not an emergency. Okay? That's a behavioral splurge that you have, and you need to get it under control, okay? But this money, this is very important. It's very important that once you reach that number, that this is not something that we look at and say, well, I have my emergency savings fund. I can get it. No. This is money that we set aside only for emergencies. That's the same thing with your general savings account. You don't go to that account and say, oh, well, there's a sale. I'm going to use that money. No. We setting that aside. That's a general savings account. And then you have your emergency savings account. Leave that money alone, okay? Leave it alone. That's not operable. It's not for you to touch, okay? And then this is going to be good because, like I said, it won't be stressful to you when things occur that we wasn't planning to have. You'll just be able to go ahead and get that money out of those accounts, pay it, and then once you spent that money, now you have to work again and put it back, okay? So these are funds that once you have spent them, you have to grow it again, okay? But it's going to be okay because you should already be growing it. So the only, it shouldn't even hurt you. Yeah, it went down a little bit, but it won't take long to build it back up. And like I said, emergencies don't happen all the time, but when they do happen, we need to be prepared, okay? And last, I want to talk on 401k, our retirement savings, which is the last savings account that we should have as working Americans. Unfortunately, Social Security probably is not going to be there for me at the young age of 28 I am. So when I go to retire at 60, it's probably not going to be nothing for me to draw from. So I cannot depend that the government is going to pave my way for retirement. I have to start saving now. Okay, and jobs now are encourage people to save They're wanting you guys to put back extra money. Dave Ramsey says, I got to live right now like no one else, so later on I can live like no one else. We hear all these different savings going on about retirement because people now are reaching retirement age or getting close to retirement, and they're looking at their portfolios and they say, man, you know, $100,000 ain't as much as it used to be. $200,000 is not as much as it used to be. So this is something that we need to be thinking about. You know, what is it going to take for you to be able to retire at 65 or 70 years old? What is it going to take? Is your house going to be paid off? Are you going to have to worry about your mortgage? Are you going to have a transportation? Are you going to be in good health? Is your family going to be provided for? Well, you got to think about these things. You can no longer work 40 and 50 hours a week. Your body will not do it. So we need to be thinking about retirement. And I hate to cut off, but I'm going to have to do this next week in our closing. But that is our time for today. We will talk about retirement next week, ways to set up our retirement, get ready for retirement, and then we will end our session in week 5. So we thank everyone coming out on today. Remember to bring your questions and your concerns next week. It will be our last week, and we pray that everyone got something out of the lesson, and I will try my best to wrap everything up next week, and I want to have a brief test over everything we learned, just so I can see if my students passed or failed.